for a lot of us here in Asia, and welcome brothers and sisters from the USA. It's still Friday, but it's wonderful to have all of you online here. And as we are now moving on to the third, or I think maybe the fourth week, where there is no live Xun Fa Xiang, as Master is happy to say, definitely gaining a lot of strength from all the disciples from all over the world, and also in Taiwan, giving Master a lot of strength. So I think this is very good. And as we know that, and I really believe that Master's health condition is closely tied to how the world is going around, especially in Taiwan as well. So if there's a lot of afflictive things that's happening, then you can probably imagine that her health isn't going to go so well. So the one thing that we can do to pray for the well-being of our Master is also to do what we have always been done, which is to continue to bring harmony to our society through what we are doing, to make the bridges, to actually form these bonds with all the people and sentient beings, and to care for our planet. And so these are all the things that we could do to help our cause, and also to help Master as well. So these things aside, we're going to move on to our review. And today, so before we begin today, we're still also going to talk about what we talked about last week. And for last week, we actually got to talk a little bit more about answering some of the questions. So one of the questions was, there are so many sutras, so what are they talking about? It's a very straightforward question, and I'm glad that we have a chance to answer this question. So this is the picture that I use, that because the Buddha, sitting at where we are looking back, there are so many of us, infinite number of the sentient beings at different points in their cultivation path or in their life. There's point A, point B, point C. And therefore, all the different sutras or all the different teachings are suitable for different people at point A, at point B, at point C. And at times, and you're going to find a particular sutra that is better for you because you're at point A. But at times, you might be moving from point A closer to the Buddha, right? Moving from A to closer to the Buddha. Or you might be moving from A to B and then moving on to C because you are lost. So that's why the Buddha had to speak and preach different teachings to all these people in different positions. And that's a different location. And that is why we have all these sutras. The goal is all the same, is to catch up to Buddha. But there are different paths. You're coming from different places. And that's why we have all these sutras. So find the one that's suitable for you. And I think that's very important. Find the one that is workable for you. Find the one that is suitable for you. Find the one that you can connect with, and then go from there. And that's the most important thing. So there's another question that was really, really long. And the idea of this question is, yes, it's very important that the teachings are echoing and reaching above to the heavens and down below to the hell. So can they really hear, can the sentient beings in hell really hear all these teachings? And can the sentient beings or the heavenly beings in heaven, can they really hear the teachings and be willing to change? So the answer is, can they really hear the teachings? And the answer is, yes, they can. Imagine on our earth, on our planet, there are already people suffering, right? Whether we're talking about the refugees or whether we're talking about the people that were suffering from great disaster. This is a picture taken from last year's Mexico earthquake. And then this is the picture taken from our brothers and sisters in Mozambique. So these places, at that moment, at least, in the time of suffering, or because of poverty, because of social issues, are considered to be hell because they're going through very difficult time. Can they hear the teachings? And the answer is yes, because there are always all these of us that are bringing the teachings to them. So instead of them coming to our world or our realm to hear, there are always, and there will always be able to, there will always be bodhisattvas that will transform, that will transfer these teachings, take these teachings to where they are most needed. And I think that is a very important idea to know. And also in Africa, there are different parts in Africa where their teachings, their sessions we bring master's teaching there. So in another word, it's not so much that the Buddha was echoing and teaching and spreading out all the sound in all over the places, but rather sometimes we bring the teachings to them. And that's the idea that, yes, they can hear if there are those of us and there are those of people that are very willing to bring the teachings to those people that are suffering. And so now on the other extreme, the heavenly beings, they're so immersed in enjoyment of life. Could they too wish to transcend the realm that they are in now? And the idea is yes, but we have to transcend the time and space. Buddha's teaching, yes, happened 2,500 years ago. But imagine that now we are still talking about the teaching. That means the teaching itself is already beyond 2,500 years. In fact, it's already beyond farther and further away. And it's not just only isolated in India. It's actually everywhere. And therefore, I really believe that the Buddha is still preaching. The Buddha, the form, the body, yes, left us 2,500 years ago. But now at this time, we are still hearing the teachings from the Buddha. That means the Buddha never really left us. The teaching is still here. And we here, we consider to be the lucky ones, consider to be just like heavenly beings. We are blessed with a very good life. There are people right now having no food, and there are people right now having no water, but we are not lacking in neither of those. And we are now having a rich, enjoyable life, other than the afflictions that we have on ourselves. But we are having good life. We are considered to be heavenly beings. We have all these supernatural powers. We can see through things. We can, do all these amazing things with our handheld computers or our cell phones. Those are the things that many people in today's world don't have, and let alone the people of 2,500 years ago. So we are considered heavenly beings, and we are making our stride to change our lives too. So yes, we are transcending, and yes, we are listening, and yes, the teaching is reaching to high above in the heaven and low below in hell. So there was another question that talked about there are people that left Tzu Chi. Does that mean that they don't have the great affinity because the affinity is not ripe for them? And the answer the very quick thing that we provided is there are always these external and internal factors. External factors are the ones that comes from around us, whether it's our friends or beneficiary friends or bad friends that will give us bad influence. Those are the external, and also the external factors around us. Our job, our family, our friends, the things around us. A greater environment. It's getting hotter. It's getting worse in our living condition, and etc. So that's the external factor. The internal factors are the things that you make, the vows, the aspirations, the thinkings, the contemplation that you make. So both of these factors are going to contribute to whether we are going to stay on the path or not. Yes, external factors are important, but you ultimately are the one that have to decide if you're going to walk the path or not. However, at times, you're going to need a little push or a little shove in the right direction to help you go on. And that's why there was another question this week that somebody asked, do we seek help from others or do we solve it on our own? Right? And the idea is the same. Sometimes you seek help, sometimes you get it on your own, sometimes you do both, because all these things, right? It's very important. So for example, but my decision to come back to the abode and live here, because I know through my decision, I know that not only would I internally be able to receive all these teachings, but I also know that this environment is conducive to diligently working. This environment will stop and reduce the opportunity of me slacking off. I know this, and that is why the external environment is something that would help you as well. And at the same time, internal factors are something that will also help you. So it's not just about doing one thing or the other, but rather all these things are all around us. We are immersed in external factors. And at the same time, how strong of the internal factors are we going to make it? So this week, we're talking about the Buddhism, where, why, what, now. And why are we talking about this? Because I think this was just what I was thinking about. And then this morning, the rerun of the the rerun of the Cheng Yu talked about this exactly. So this is what I want to talk about today. So very quickly, the where, the why, the what, and the how. So these are the things that we always ask ourselves to make progress in life, to move in life, to move forward or to move toward a certain goal. We need to know three things: where we are now, where are we? What kind of situation are we in right now? What kind of situation is our life right now? Okay, where we are right now. We need to know this, right? And we also need to know what our goal is, right? We need to know where we are, and we need to know where we want to get to. What is our goal? What our goal is, right? And then knowing where we are and knowing where we're going to get to it, how do we get from here to there? How do we get to our goal? So these are the three things that we need to know in order to make progress. So we talked about where we are, why are we here, what is our goal, and how do we get from here to there. So that's the four things that we want to talk about today. And the reason why we want to talk about that is because just happened to be today, today and yesterday, the rerun of the Wisdom at Dawn talks about the Four Noble Truths. And that's exactly what Buddhism, where, why, what, now is all about. So today we're going to do a very brief review, okay, of the Four Noble Truths, because it pertains to our lives in the ways that we probably didn't realize. The Four Noble Truths is something that we always think it's the founding principle, the very basic founding principle of Buddhism. These are the truth. These are the very first teachings that the Buddha gave once the Buddha was enlightened. So we hold it as the pillar. We hold it as the foundation of the entire teaching coming from here. And today I want to talk about not just the Four Noble Truths, but what does that mean in our life? What does that mean that could give us more motivation and aspiration? So the Four Noble Truths are the truth of suffering, the truth of the origins of suffering, and truth of the end of suffering, and truth of the path to the end of suffering. These are the four truths that talks about exactly what we talked about, which is in our life, what is the where we are. We are in the world of suffering. And why are we here? Well, because the origin of suffering bring us here, bring the suffering here. And then what is our goal? Our goal is to bring the end to the suffering. And how do we get there? That's the path to the end of suffering. So the where, why, what, and how translates into the Four Noble Truths. Or in another way to look at it is the Four Noble Truths translates into the where, why, what, and how of our lives. And therefore, don't look at these Four Noble Truths as some principle only, but rather these are actionable items of helping us make progress in life. So let's talk about the truth of suffering. And that's what we talk about today. That's what Master talked about today in the rerun Xun Fa Xiang. It talks about suffering. Suffering of the body, which is form, and suffering of the mind, which is affliction, formless. Something that are suffering, for example, we're getting sick, or we're getting poor, lacking resources, or lacking the warm clothes, or the shelter, okay, or the suffering of the mind. Sometimes we're greed, sometimes we're angry, we're confused, we're ignorant. So the suffering comes in both form and the formless, right? So where we are, this tells you where we are and in Tzu Chi, by seeing and feeling the pain of the others, seeing the suffering of the others, realizing, and also at the same time, realizing the suffering also comes in formless. We would be motivated to seek its resolution because we know the suffering, we know the pain, where we are in the world of everything is source of suffering, and everything, even though happiness and joy are fleeting. So that's where we are in this world. Things are bringing us more suffering. So what can we do about it? And the second truth tells you why. Tells us why that there all these suffering coming from. Where is the suffering coming from? And the suffering comes from all these, the three poisons, the greed, the anger, the ignorance, as the cause. resulting in suffering. The main idea tells you origin of the suffering. It's not to say, oh, well, guess what? Too bad. Now we're getting all these suffering. The idea of telling you why is to tell you that these are all self-inflicted. These pain, these sufferings are you brought onto yourself. And if these are the things that you can bring onto yourself, then you can also remove it through your own action and determination. This is something that is very, very different from what other people view Buddhism as, something that's very passive, something that is very pessimistic. Oh yeah, the first noble truth is life is suffering. But no, the second truth tells you that this is something that you brought onto yourself. This is something that we brought onto ourselves. And therefore, we can bring the resolution to. If we caused it, we can resolve it. And that is where our aspiration comes from. So a lot of people would only know the first noble truth. It's all about suffering. And then they would write off Buddhism as this is one of the very pessimistic religion in the world. But the second truth tells you, yes, realize where we are in the world of suffering. But guess what? We make it ourselves. And because we made it ourselves, we have the power to reverse that. We have the power to undo that. These are self-inflicted suffering, and therefore we can remove these self-infliction through self-action. That's the second noble truth. Now, the third truth tells you, good. The second truth tells you that we have the power to do so because the cause is something that we brought in. Therefore, we can remove it. Then that tells you, now you should believe that we can see the end of suffering. So the first truth tells you this world is all about suffering. The second truth tells you where the suffering comes from, and we did it ourselves. The third truth tells you that because we did it ourselves, we can bring an end to it as well. If the cause to the suffering can be removed, if we can remove the cause, remove the seed that is bad, then we can end or avoid the suffering effect. And that's the truth. We set our goal is let's remove the cause to suffering one bit at a time, and eventually there will be no more. So knowing that there's suffering, knowing how we get here, and knowing where we want to go to, and the objective is the end of the suffering. And how do we get there? It's the path. So Master in today's Xun Fa Xiang also talks about the Dharma path. The eight rightful path are something that if we follow one step at a time, taking 8 steps at the same time, okay, then if we follow this path, then we can remove all of these present effects of suffering. And therefore, we can also bring the result, the ending of the suffering to all the future. So that's why, coming back to what we talk about today in a very short session, in Buddhism, we talk about where, why, what, how. It's actually our Four Noble Truths. And this applies to our lives as well. We mentioned to make progress in life, we need to know where we are, and we need to know what our objective is, what our goal is, and we need to know how to get from there to there. And Four Noble Truths tells you that in Four Truths. It tells you we are here stuck in this world and continue to be stuck in this world of suffering. And it tells you why we get there, because that gives you the strength and the belief and the faith that the reason why we're here is because we did ourselves. And therefore, we can bring an end to that as well. And what is our goal? Well, the end goal is going to be a purity, a harmony of society, and also the purified mind. And also, there will be no suffering. And that's our objective. And how do we do that? That's the Four Noble Truths to tell us to go from the afflicted mind to the not so afflicted mind. So I wanted to bring this up because in the last few days, the Xun Fa Xiang rerun has been talking about something simple, but it's also something that has a more effect. So in our lives, when we see something that, when we're stuck in something, always return to the roots. The roots are the Four Noble Truths. The roots are asking yourself, where am I right now? And where do I want to get to? And how do I get there? And you will find the answer, a lot of it, is in the application of the Four Noble Truths. And that's my sharing for today. And I saved some time because I wanted to get into some of the questions that were asked. And these are very good questions. Very good questions. And I wanted to get into that so that I have some time to answer before our sharing from the centers come in. So the first question is, may I know if we should greet Buddhist Amitofo? I notice not all masters will reply Amitofo. Why is it so? So there are two questions to this, right? May I know if we should greet them this way? And also, I notice not everyone reply. Why is it so? So the first part is and I wanted to bring this Amitofo to everybody's attention. That what does that mean, right? What does it mean? And if you even added Namo Amitofo, okay, then it also has a different meaning. But this is a very simple, if you could understand, greeting. The greeting of wishing a well-being to the other person that you greeted. When you mention Amitofo, you are actually bringing on all the merit and all the virtue of this particular Buddha who made the great aspiration and the vow that within its name contains the insurmountable and infinite amount of virtue, of blessing to that name itself. And that name is actually representing me wishing you all these infinite amount of blessing, infinite amount of virtue, infinite amount of wisdom to you. And that's what it really means. It's a greeting, almost like good morning, okay? So good morning in a way is saying, my morning is good. I hope you have a good morning. That's what good morning means. And so greeting Buddhists this way is common. And there isn't a right or wrong or suitable or not suitable. It's your kindness and your attitude to bring the good and well wishes upon other people. And that's what greetings are. Good morning is not to say, I have a good morning. It's to bring the goodness and kindness of this morning to you. So usually that's what people do. But you could suffice to greet Buddhists good morning as well. Really, I wouldn't stop you from from greeting everybody good morning. But you could also greet them with Amitofo, okay? And you also realize not everybody will reply Amitofo. And why is it so? Because people have different preferences. Just like I will greet you with good morning, and you might greet me with how do you do? Or how are you today? That doesn't mean that I believe it or I do not believe it. It just means people have different preferences. Sometimes it's respectful differences, right? Sometimes people believe this is good, thank you for your well wish, but I want to wish you something different. Remember, this is something that comes from your heart, comes from your heart. You are wishing someone to have a good day, or wishing somebody to have a good, completely infinite amount of wisdom and virtue, right? Somebody's reply they will give you what they believe is the best wish coming from them, coming from their kindness and well-being, right? So it might not always be the same. So it's okay that other people might not reply. And I think it's not something that we should worry too much. It's almost like you are wishing somebody well-being, right? It doesn't mean that they will always reply something that you expect, because people have different idea about how to wish the well-being for the others. So I wish that this particular answer and suits whoever asked this question, to not be too attached about what other people reply, but rather, why do we say this? We say this because we do wish that the well-being can be brought upon to the other people that we greet. That's the most important. Not so much about how they reply. So that's the first question. Now, this is another question that I think that came to me before, and I'm glad that somebody asked this question. It's very simple. It's a very simple question, but also I think it really bothers a lot of people. It's simple, but it bothers people. We sing the offering song before taking our meals at Jingsi Hall, but at the abode, I notice we do not do so. May I understand the reason of not doing so? So I wanted to answer this, take some time to answer this, because these are the very basic questions that very, very often we just skip through them, because no one bother asking and no one bother asking and no one bother answering. But these are the questions, believe it or not, for anyone first coming in to Tzu Chi, they notice this and then they don't even dare to ask. So this is a good question that I want to get to, okay? So before our meetings, I'm not even talking about taking meals, but before our meetings, sometimes we also sing our anthem, right? Our Tzu Chi song, our Tzu Chi anthem as well. But we don't do that here, right? For those of you that have been in the same meeting as Master, when Master comes in, you know, we do our bow, and after that, we don't just sit straight. We don't just stand up straight and say, okay, 唱慈济功德会会歌. We don't say that, right? And why do we do that? Because the reason why we do all these things, is that we create the environment. So we're talking about external and internal. We create the external environment where we remind each of ourselves. When we sing the offering song, we remind us and each other that we are here thanking, because without all of these other people and all of the world, the resources possible, that this meal would be impossible. And therefore, the offering song is there to make sure that we remember and remind each other of this fact. When we are at the abode, especially when the Master is there, the idea is this environment itself, through everything that we do at the abode, through the masters, the Dharma masters of the abode, everything they do is bringing that reminder to you already. The song that we sing is to remind ourselves when we are far and away from the Dharma root, that we always remember the root, always remember where we come from, always remember that the root is rooted deeply in gratitude. But when we're at root, we have to be immersed in this root itself, but rather than sing out loud, it's the time from internal factors to come in and be immersed in it, but not to do it verbally because we're already at the root. So imagine that we are far away in all the different Jingsi Ho. Those are the leaves and branches. Those leaves and branches constantly, we need to remember where the root is, where we come from. When at the root, we don't need to remind where we come from, but rather that's when the internal factors come in. So this is something that talks about the two levels, right? One is external. We always have to remember, sing the song to take us back to where the root is. But when you're at the root already, you have to be immersed. You have to feel from within. We are here. This is the origin where it all came from. Singing is no longer going to be able to bring us to the root because we are already here. Now it's internal, to feel all around us. The plate, the food that's on our table at the abode are the very food that are prepared by our masters. Do we feel gratitude already? So it's a different feeling, but it's not something that we sing out loud to remind each other, because after all, at the same cafeteria, there are also our masters there, right? Master Cheng is there, and Dharma masters of the abode are there. Where singing is more important than we remind ourselves. We should not be reminding the masters that you should be grateful too. No, that's not what we're trying to do. So it's something very simple, technicality is very simple. But more importantly, it's about external and internal factors. Okay, so third question. Being overly involved in Tzu Chi's activities. Sometimes I feel that we are just busy doing, but do not have the opportunity to think and reflect, thus feeling rather tired over time. Why is it so? And I think you just already answered your own questions. The idea is that when you're busy doing something, right? So imagine that there are two things that we are doing in Tzu Chi. There are really only two things that we do in Tzu Chi, right? One is asking questions. Two is answering questions, okay? Asking questions and answering questions. We are most happy. We are most happy and joyous when we're asking questions and we are answering questions. Meaning we're asking and we're getting answers. Asking, getting answer, asking, getting answers, okay? So that's when we are most happy. Have questions, get it answered. Questions, answer. Questions, answer. We are most happy when we're able to ask questions and get the answer. However, we are not too happy when we're always asking questions but no answer. Same thing, when we're always getting answers to what? I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting all these answers, but you're not asking questions. We're not too happy when the answers and questions are off balanced. What does that mean? It means when we're doing all these things, it's a proof through doing of getting the answers. You're doing all these things, but you're not sure what you're doing. That's when we're getting tired because you're getting all these answers to the questions you don't even know what. So you're answering questions without knowing what the questions are. Eventually, you're going to run dry. On the other hand, for those people that are always thinking and reflecting, but not busy doing something, you're asking all these questions, but you're not getting the answers because the answers are in the doing itself. The true joy comes from when you are getting the answer to the questions that matter to you. But when you're getting all these answers without the questions, it's almost like you're getting something that you don't really want. You don't even know what you want. And that's why you're getting all these things, but you're not quite understanding why. So because you are not understanding why you're getting this, you're not experiencing Dharma joy. There's really no joy because there's no question. How can there be answer? You're getting a lot of answer, but you don't even know to what. If I just tell you 13, what is 13? I don't know. But if I tell you, there's an equation that is very, very difficult to solve. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. It's very difficult to solve. And you did all the things you can. You spend half a day on figuring out how to add this, but you still don't know the answer. Or if you got an answer and you're not sure if that's the answer, somebody tells you the correct answer is 13. After you work for half a day or the whole day on this question, and you think you might know the answer, but you're not sure, somebody comes along and tells you 13. That makes sense to you. That makes you joy. But if I tell you 13, 15, 32, 37, it makes no sense to you because there's no questions asked. These answers mean nothing. And therefore, how would you have any joy? And therefore, if there's no joy, why would they bring merit or virtue? You don't even know what you're doing. And eventually, it becomes just doing something. So once again, you answer your own question. If you're just busy doing something, but not having the opportunity to think and reflect, think about what I'm doing. Think about where we are. Think about where I'm trying to get to. And that's the key. If we're not thinking about that, eventually you're just going to get a lot of answers without knowing what the questions are. So the last question here is, there are a lot of activities I wish to join, but there's only 24 hours in a day. Yet I'm thinking of living a wonderful yet simple life. How can I make it? The answer is actually very, very simple. Very, very simple. It goes back to the very first thing I said, which is to make progress in life, you need to ask yourself these things. Where am I? What is my goal? How do I get there? And the answers are in the Four Noble Truths that we talk about today. So I give you that as today's answer. I give you today's presentation as the answer to this question. Is, yes, you're thinking about living that. Is that your goal? Is that your goal? If you set your goal to it and you know where you are, then think about how can I get from here to there? And I give you the answer as the Four Noble Truths. This is already afflicted because you're thinking of this and you're not kind of getting that. You're not happy about it. You have wish, but it doesn't happen, right? So you are already afflicted. We are suffering from affliction as well. So how can I make it? The answer is in today's presentation. So that's my sharing for today. Answering all these questions, and 1 through 5. There's the fifth question was already answered earlier. And I hope that through today's very simple and straightforward sharing, we can get to know better what the Four Noble Truths are and also apply the principles in our lives today. So thank you. And now we're going to open up to the different centers for sharing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Good.
Respect to the Jingsu Abode masters and morning brothers and sisters. Today I'm going to share regarding recycling and bamboo bank. Initially, about 10 years ago, when I met up with Tzu Chi, when yes, okay, this is the small plastic bag of non-recyclables. Okay, it started with 10 years ago when we met up with Tzu Chi. Then at the time I know of this Tzu Chi volunteer by the name of Brother Ho. He come to my shop and tell me that, oh, no, Mr. Yong, these small pieces of paper, plastic bags, bottles, plastic bottles can be recyclable. So during those days, I've been throwing daily 2 to 3 gunny bags of mix-ups. So after that, I try myself, be mindful. Then I try to separate all those recyclable items into different bags, and we found that it can significantly reduce all this garbage. Right? And then for those things we can take back for recycling. We can sell it. We can use it for this to help the needy. And then since that, we have been donating all those our carton boxes, plastic bags, all those things, all to Tzu Chi Dialysis Center. And then we have been also joyful. I'm also joyful in doing that. And sometimes the customers and the guests come to my shop asking for these plastic bags, asking for these carton boxes. I do give them. I say, no problem, you can take, as long as you can donate to the bamboo bank. We put it at our shop, the bamboo bank. Because we have donated to Tzu Chi, so it's fair and square that you donate to the bamboo bank. And then most of our guests and customers, they are also quite willing, They are happy that they can take about carton boxes. They can create a good affinity with people to help the needy. And then we inspire them to have a compassionate heart towards the unfortunate. And then all those bamboo banks money, we put it into this monthly donation. That's been going for a few years. And then of late, at the last picture there, we have the Bandaran. Yes, our Bandaran introducing this 2 days plastic free per week. For every week, 2 days plastic free. So in these 2 days, we will try to explain to our customers the idea of this plastic free, because we are living in this island, and then people are throwing around. Then of late, these collectors are shunning this plastic bag because not feasible and then not economical to transport out of this island. So we have to tell them that we have to start now, because we have to think for the future of Langkawi. We don't want our island to be polluted, to be all everywhere with plastic bag. So it's just those very insistent customers, they still need a bag. I say, why not you just donate 20 cents to the charity bamboo bank, just to help people, which also they're willing to do. So after this, I will try to share about this recycling to one of my friend. Is a Malay boy. He was formerly my customer. So that was a few years ago. This Malay boy is inflicted with a rare disease, very rare disease, but it's incurable, very incurable. So the parents always come to my shop to buy these batteries, dry batteries for him to play the game or whatnot. So I always tell this boy that you can you keep, because why? This energy, this worn-out batteries, when you simply throw, it can pollute. It can pollute the underground water, no? So after that, after some time, he do bring some collect back some worn-out batteries to us, to bring back to my shop. Then we give them some token of appreciation, and then we just want to plant the seed of recycling to him. Hopefully that one day he can help out, no? And then last 2 years, very unfortunate, this boy passed away due to the disease. Then he and his and this boy and the parents also, they did some recycling work also. And then this boys also have become a Tzu Chi home care recipient, which we go there for accompanying only. So during the time, our volunteers also brief them about recycling. Then until today, even though the boy already passed away, their parents still continue to do this recycling work at their village, the kampung. And then they also inspired the kampung people to do that also. This is what I want to share with for this recycling. Then what makes me very inspired me is also the bamboo bank. The bamboo bank, which we have taken when we joined Tzu Chi. And then you see every morning we wake up, we can just drop some coins inside, you know, or some wish. So help the people, pray for world peace, society peace, no, whatever, or for pray for well-being for people, certain people we know. Then it's very amazing, because every day morning before you start the day, you can do of something good, no, which is very good. And then this bamboo bank also have some affinities with some friends. Like I want to share is Indian boy, whereby this Indian boy was adopted by from this friend, from her sister when he was a young boy. Okay, after that, very unfortunate that past 2 years he passed away during a fall. And then during the funeral, this boy's natural parents came, and then they are making very way, no. Then we went to the funeral to explain to the boy, the boy's natural parents and siblings, saying that it's impermanence. Nobody will know what will happen. And then we also bring the one of these bamboo bank under this Indian boy's name to show their natural parents what this foster parent have done for this young boy, what they have taught this boy to be, to be generous, to be a good person, to cultivate good deeds, and then and I also wish to share another sharing about my workers, about my Cambodian workers, my Indonesian workers, and one Malay workers, which we have bring them out to our Tzu Chi activities to inspire them. And then one of these Cambodian worker who came to work for us for 2 years. When she initially came, she always talked about spirits, in her kampung, spirits, ghosts. So we show her the bamboo bank. We told her that we should need to have a right thinking, positive thinking, right action, right thinking, right words. Then after that, sometime 1 or 2 months, she totally transformed. Then she started to cut images, pictures of the Guanyin Bodhisattvas, the Buddhas, and then she patched it onto the wall to pay respect. So that shows they have a drastic change from her. How she can transform from being a very believer in spirits to somebody who is believer in truth. No? And she also, we also bring her to activities, Tzu Chi activities. So, and we also encourage her to take up the volunteer course. No? Then, very unfortunate because we attended the course, except the last 2 days for the final one, because she went back to her hometown, to the due date. So we also apply for one set of this volunteer uniform for her to bring back as remembrance, to just to inspire her that if she can do it there or in Cambodia. Then we also call her. In fact, we call her also and ask her about this uniform. She said yes, the uniform is still with her, but then only maybe the shirt can use, the trouser can use, because she's married, and then I think she had grown fatter. And then she's very keen. She's very keen to follow Tzu Chi also. So hopefully that our Tzu Chi volunteers who are going to Cambodia can contact her, try to encourage her to come out and walk this Tzu Chi's mission, and walk this Bodhisattva's path. Her name is Chia Shukom. And then I also want to share, when she found an earring in my shop, somebody dropped it. She passed it back to me. A gold earring. I say, never mind. Just see who's the right person who dropped. But finally, we can't find it. So she just put it into the bamboo bank, to donate into bamboo bank, to create good affinity for the person who lost it. She also create a good affinity in doing a good. And I think we have also another Malay girl by the name of Nick, also working at our shop. She's a Muslim. Then all this while, she also follow us to Tzu Chi activities. And then as a Muslim, she have limitation to it. No? Only maybe something we have activities like donation drive, she follow us to it. No? And also hopefully that she will take up the future future Tzu Chi activities or event. Hopefully she can join our Tzu Chi activity in future. And then also we got one Indonesian worker by the name Mujono. This Mujono, a few years ago, he worked with us, and then when he was in our shop, he's very diligent. So we also bring him to our Tzu Chi activities, and then at one year-end blessing, he even joined us together to do the hand sign language, because it's very surprising. He sees he is only a Muslim and doesn't even know how to speak Chinese, can listen to the song and do the hand language. I feel very grateful for him. So since he went back to Indonesia, I also wish him and bless him, and I bless all of your brothers and sisters. Yes, brothers and sisters.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for Brother Yong sharing. I've been to Langkawi in 2002. So it's been 17 years. I've never been to Langkawi. So I'm so happy that we have a recycling center and been doing for more than around 10 years. So which is good news that because Langkawi is a tourism place and a lot of people, go for shopping and, just consume a lot of unnecessary things. And it's good we start the recycling, and we are not just doing recycling to protect the environmental, but we also giving our Tzu Chi spirits and share with them of our bamboo bank, the spirit. So recently, because Master it's been mentioned that what she concerned about is what our Tzu Chi members need the most is to review the Tzu Chi history and the spirit. So it is good that you keep holding this bamboo band spirit and keep sharing with your friends and surrounding your places. And as we know that, I think you've been, for the 10 years, you have been paved a good direction path to those people who know, and you share with them, and you keep encouraging them to attend our volunteering training section. I think this is very good because for the Sutra of Infinite Meanings is mentioned that we start from 1 to infinite members to join. This is how we start from. And of course, for masters, they mentioned that when we start Tzu Chi, we call merit society organization for the Buddhist Tzu Chi. I think a master did mention that we always say when we through the bamboo bank, you asking people to donate money. Maybe we will say you have boundless merit if you donate. The more you donate, maybe the more merit you can get. But master say for the Buddha's teaching, it's mentioned that actually the merit itself is to encourage people to accumulate. You need to accumulate over a long time, a period of time, through the action for our human being to giving, to serve those who need it. So this is the merit. The true meaning of merit is we have to take action. Like you in Langkawi, you have been personally, and you are not just give verbally to consult people or to advise people to do good thing. You personally also in your store, you also have action, and you've been doing such a great thing to do recycling. I think this is very good because you through the action, masters say they have a lot of variety choices to do, because merit are actions that we do, which is intended to benefit others. So I think at last, for my sharing is master also say that we need to pave our road, pave our direction, continuing, because we haven't attained to the Buddhahood, still have a long way to go. So you are just start in 10 years. We hope that in the future, we continuing to paving the path with brighter and longer, and bring more people to join. As Master say, we concerned in the future generation, do they willing to follow the path or not? So it's very important that we need to listen to the Dharma, and we hope that we are not just for the beginning listen to Dharma happy, but day by day, and we get tired of it. This is we all have to encourage each other, keep doing without to seek of any merit. I think this is most important, and this is my sharing for today. Thank you.
OK， 感恩师父。
Morning, we have with us here at KJ Center, Brother Lau and Sister Julie. Of course, most of us are inspired by the sharing from all brothers and sisters. And today we have no doubt we also have Sister Julie and Brother Lau to share their inspiration. And without wasting much time, I will pass the session to Brother Lau, and he's going to talk about why I became a vegan. Brother Lau, take your time here and share.
Good morning, Master. Good morning, brother and sister. The question of why I become a vegan was brought up by one of the brothers during one of our conversation, and I've been a vegetarian for about 10 years already.
Yeah.
I've been a vegetarian for more than 10 years, and then recently I come across a video called Vegan 2017. And in that video, it shows that the suffering the animals go through to provide milk for us. The mother's cow have to be pregnant all the time. And after the baby is born, they are separated from the mother. And the suffering of the mothers can be heard when the baby is dragged away. The mother will be calling for the babies for the next few days and nights. And this suffering is going on because the demand for milk is so high. And so I decided to say, okay, being a vegan is not that bad. It's not that difficult after all. You know what is? I just give up dairy product and so give up eggs. And anyway, as a vegetarian, most of the Chinese vegetarian food do not have dairy product anyway. And most of the dishes don't have eggs. So I've been eating vegan for 10 years already, actually, most of the time, without realizing it. And I say, I just have to make one more small steps to be a vegan. So I said, okay, let's do it. And I decided there and then, and when I become a vegan, I discovered a few wonderful advantages of being a vegan. Because I decided just before Chinese New Year. So when I visit my relatives and friends, most of the products, most of the offerings like biscuits and cakes have eggs and the butters and so on. So I say, oh, what wonderful news. I can't eat all of those. So I can keep it and not put on weight like everybody else. After New Year, they complain, I put on weight, I put on weight. So I think it's a wonderful experience. And I say, oh, so much advantage of being a vegan. And the reason why we want to be, I think it's very easy to be a vegan. I would encourage our brother and sister to try it. Maybe not, if you are not feeling comfortable, maybe just try it for a week and see how is it. For me, some of my favorite food are like ice cream, which I give up. And ice cream are not good for you anyway. So nowadays I don't eat ice cream anymore, and it's more healthy. So thank you very much. That's my sharing. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Lau. I'm sure you have a lot to share, but due to time constraint, we will pass over to the session to Sister Julie, who will talk on recycling. And I have a screen to share, so I'm going to click it on now. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, Master. Good morning, Brother Joe. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, Brother Joe, for conducting this awesome Saturday Dharma class. I find it very interesting, and I learned a lot because your sharing is very simple and easy to understand. Okay, talk about recycling. I started recycling actually last November. Before that, I started coming regularly for recycling, I just joined them when my home brother is doing in charge of food, so I only joined them. So last November, due to affinity, I started regularly coming for recycling. Then after a few months with the Bangsa Recycling Center, I was invited to Taman Desa for a tour of their recycling center, and discovered that there's so many things to learn, and so many things how recycling can impact the world. And after that, the following month in April, Sister Michelle invited us to attend another recycling meeting at the Jingse Hall, and there's a group of brother and sister who just came back from Taiwan, and they were so inspired by their recycling trip. They were sharing how their experience in Taiwan, the different things that they learned, and I was so inspired by their sharing. And then later, I was discussing with my my daughter and my home brother, and we decided that maybe we can implement some of the ideas, some of the ideas into our Bangsa Recycling Center. Then that was May, we had last month, and actually we were what you call not really fully prepared, but my station master, Brother Andy, said just do it. So we started first time at this May Recycling Center. We were first time we invited the Tata to come down and sort their recyclables. Normally they will just drop it and then we will collect and then we sort it ourselves. So for the first time, the whole group of us was so excited. We invite them to come down, park their car, and then give us 2, and we share with them some of the things that can be recyclable and some of the things that cannot be recyclable. And we were so surprised that a lot of them, 95% of them came down, and we asked for 2 minutes, but most of them stay on for a while, and they were so interested to learn about recycling and Tzu Chi. So for that day, I bet the universe knows what we are doing. So they send extra amount of people. We have the most number of what you call Tata coming to visit us, and also the most number of recyclables. And then here you see Sister Michelle was sharing with the maid, you know, teaching her the some of the things that can be recycled and teaching her clean exhaust, you know. And then after so many of them came, when they left, we give them a small gift of token of appreciation, and it's 2 apples and with a Jing aphorism attached to it. And that day we were so busy. Then we also very blessed that that day we have a lot of new people came to help us, because some of the regulars, they were away helping in other activities at the Jing Hall. So we have quite a few what you call people to volunteers to come. So we are so excited, and we are so blessed that, you know, that was a very fruitful day. We have a lot of Tata that comes and take the effort to come down and learn about recycling, because what I learned is Master say, you know, it's not just sorting out the recyclables. The most important task is to educate the public and to create awareness of recycling, how it impacts the world, and teaching them clean exhaust. Thank you very much. 感恩。
感恩 Sister Julie and also Brother Lau. I wanted to make sure that the food that you have at the last slide, is that all vegan? Otherwise, Brother Lau cannot eat it. I want to make sure that he gets to have all the food as well. But thank you so much for sharing. I think from Brother Young and also Brother Lau and also Sister Julie, I think it's wonderful, especially the last part about environmental protection. I absolutely agree, and I cannot stress it more because Master already stressed it many, many times. Thank you so much, Sister Julie and Brother Lau, for your effort in the environmental protection and recycling. The most important part isn't that we do it ourselves only, but also to share with others, because by ourselves, it's not enough. We really need to reach out and get more people to help together to make them aware. So thank you so much for materializing what Master has been talking about, the 亲近在源头 and also 忍痛教育, to share with them. And that is absolutely pivotal and in the entire recycling. So thank you both. Thank you, Brother Young, also for taking all the opportunity to share the knowledge and also the wisdom and compassion with all the people, the customers, and everybody. That is what we're looking for. That is exactly what Master asked of us to do, and you guys have done every part of it. So thank you again. And And I wanted to shout out to the other program that we'll be starting, which is the translators session, the review session for translators. And I believe it should be beginning the first Thursday, which means it's next Thursday evening. For more information, you can always ask Sister Xiaoqing, and it will be a very short time, very similar to this, but it's a review for translators, so we can get better in understanding the Dharma, so we can translate it better. So once again, thank you all, and thank you. Time is a little bit over, but always, we have lived a very packed 1 hour in the past hour, and that's the most important thing, to make the best use of our lives and of our time, so we can grow in our wisdom life. Thank you all, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cảm ơn